So these are my video notes for Texas versus Baylor. Now, Texas lost this game in many categories, such as, for example, going only 3 or 14 from free throws, and also having 16 turnovers, so that doesn't always help. But Baylor also shot really well. They shot 50% from 3, 11 of 22, and they only had limited free throws, but overall they were a very good shooting team. If you look at the possession stats, they went 1.2 points per half-court possession, so it was in those organised, slowed down positions that they really made their mark, and we'll have a look at that soon. Looking at their shooting charts, you can see they shot really well from catch and shoot threes, 53.8%, and they went 6 of 11 from contested catch and shoot threes for 54.5%, so that's a pretty high mark from a usually low category. Usually you don't see that high of a percentage from contested catch and shoot threes, but most of their points came from drives. They went 11 of 13 for 84.6%, 1.69 points per drive attempt, and that resulted in 26.51% of their points. The other stat that's pretty clear, that is 30% of their shots came from off the dribble attempts. So that between the drives and the off the dribbles, the percentage of points and the frequency up here, that kind of tells you how much of an ISO game, along with this half-court position over here, how much of an ISO game that Baylor played. They didn't run really many sets, and the sets that they did run were focused around putting their guards, Mitchell and Butler, on the Texas bigs of Sims and Ham Jr. So that's what the game plan was around, creating essentially isolation situations. So just looking at some clips, I have 5 or 4 in my sorter here. Turn this volume off. So, for example, here we've got this example versus Sims. So it's just a simple on ball at the top of the key, putting Butler onto Sims. Now, usually Sims and Texas in general, they're quite a good switching defense, as they don't really have a traditional big. All of their bigs are actually quite versatile and quite good in terms of lateral movement. It's just that the Baylor guards are exceptionally quick off the dribble. Like, they're incredibly quick, and they can kind of make the most of any situation. So ISO, dribble, 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 drive, and he kind of gets that almost open layup using that fake out move. This one's versus Ham. Now Ham Jr. usually gets more, not Ham Jr., Ham just in general usually gets more fouls than points in a given game. That's usually his weakness, but here he's up against Mitchell. Again, you can kind of see how quick Mitchell off the bounce, he just goes, is able to get that layup. Again, just using that basic switch at the top of the perimeter, just creating those isolation situations. Let's play this clip out. Kind of see how quick he is off the dribble. And you can kind of see that in this next clip here. Here we've got the situation where they do initiate the switch. Well, it doesn't really initiate the switch. Looks like Sims just tries to blitz the guard at the end of the shot clock here for the second half. But it's actually quite extraordinary how quick these players are in terms of that. Here we've got Butler with the ball. So not Butler with the ball. Here we've got Mitchell with the ball. You can kind of see how he's up against Jones, one of the Texas guards, who, in theory, being a guard on Texas, he's also really quite quick and twitchy himself. However, Mitchell is just at another level when he's basically can take him right off the bounce and just go right past him for that open layup. So those are the sort of guards that Texas is up against, just guys who can just fly past them at any moment. So if they can do that against a Texas guard, they can certainly do it against a Texas big. And this example is just essentially to show that they also do create these isolation situations, and they make them advantageous for them by just essentially removing all the rim protection. Obviously, Texas is a really good team in terms of rim protection. They get a lot of blocks every game from people like Brown and number 22 Jones, Kai Jones. But for example, in these situations, when you spread the floor like this, especially with Sims up here and setting a screen down here next to the basket to stop Kai Jones setting any sort of rim protection, you kind of get an open lane. And again, with Mitchell being so twitchy and so quick off the dribble, like just can fly off like that right past Coleman, it creates really easy open layup situations. And this is just an end of game set that they ran at the end of the game. Baylor essentially just again create those isolation situations. You've got Butler at the top of the perimeter. There's no switching here. It's just basically, again, removing that rim protection so no one's down here, just to create an easy sort of lane for Butler to go down, essentially with hopefully none of these two Texas players falling in. So again, just isolation situation, goes right down, gets him to jump, an easy layup. So that's how Butler won. Sorry, I keep saying Butler. This is how Baylor wins this game, creating isolation situations, attacking Texas's bigs off the dribble and off switches, and creating rim space underneath the rim so no one can block their shots. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed it and learned something.